Good afternoon and welcome to the Committee of Adjustment for October 19th. My name is Brian and I'm going to be chairing the meeting today. First order of business, disclosure of any pecuniary interest by anybody today? Nope. Take that as a no. Okay, our first application today is A1823-225 McDonald Avenue. And it's an application for a minor variance. The owners are Sabrina and Gabriel Wallace. And staff can update us on what's going on.
Certainly, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The property is located on the east side of McDonald Avenue, south of Eastwood Park Drive, and north of Bridge Street East. The minor variance application requests relief to increase the maximum floor area for an accessory dwelling unit from 100 square meters to 116.87 square meters, which would facilitate the conversion of the second story into an accessory dwelling unit. The official plan designation of the property is residential land use. At this time, staff have received no correspondence from the public regarding this application. Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, is the Wallaces here? Anybody to speak to this application? Any neighbors for 225 McDonald? No? Members, do you have any questions regarding this application? If not, then a motion. Yeah. Robert, second by Joe. All in favor? Done. Thank you. Okay, our next application is A1923, 53 Bryant Crescent, Belleville, Ontario. It's a minor variance for John and Tracy Casey. And again, staff.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. The property is located on the north side of Bryant Crescent, west of Willett Road and east of Beatty Road. The subject land is developed with a single detached dwelling with several accessory buildings. The application proposes a detached garage located directly north and behind the main building. The minor variance application requests relief to increase the maximum height for a detached accessory building from 5 meters to 5.715 meters, which would have a gross floor area of 94.76 square meters. The official plan designation of the property is rural land use. At this time, staff have received no correspondence from the public regarding this application. Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, is John or Tracy Casey, anyone here to speak to this application? Want to come up and see if we have, do you want to come up and if we have any questions? So as they mentioned, this garage is just going to be higher than what is allowed by 0.7 of a meter or something, correct? Yeah. Okay. Do you have any questions for this?
Through you, Mr. Chair, the property to the north, is that on your property or no?
Yes.
Oh.
We have 2.4 acres.
Okay, so that other, it looks like a little house there? Is that what is that? It's not on the drawing, it's not in the picture, but it's to the north of your property to the U-shaped driveway? I was just trying to, I was confused because there's no 911 number. Oh, just an accessory building? Yes. Oh, okay.
Okay. So any other questions? Is there anybody that wishes to comment on 53 Bryant Crescent? Anybody else in the audience? No. Okay. Thank you. If nothing more, then a motion. Joe? Second. All in favor? Done. Okay, next application is for a minor variance A2023-94 Emily Street, Belleville, Ontario, and the owner is Jeremy McLeod. And staff?
Thanks, Mr.
Certainly, Mr. Chair. The property is located on the north side of Emily Street, between McDonald Avenue and Stanley Street. The subject land is developed with a single detached dwelling with a detached garage with an existing interior side yard that is deficient. The minor variance application requests relief to recognize this setback as compliant for the conversion of this garage into a detached accessory dwelling unit. The official plan designation of the property is residential land use, and at this time, staff have received no correspondence from the public regarding this application. Back to you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Okay, is Mr. McLeod here? Do you want to come up and we have any questions? Okay, so you're going to be converting this building to what? Another dwelling for residential. Okay, and it's going down from 1.2 meters to 1.1 from the property line, correct?
I believe so.
Yeah.
My coordinator, my project contractor's here, that he knows all those dimensions.
Okay. So that's what's happening. Any questions for this gentleman?
Through you, Mr. Chair, the only question I have, is this going to be accessible for wheelchair accessibility?
Yeah,
Is
it's
it-
only one level.
Yeah, okay, but I
Yeah.
mean, as far as entrances, openings, getting into doorways?
Yep.
Okay, that was the only
Okay.
question I had.
Joe? Anybody else have a comment from the public on 94 Emily Street? Okay, if not, thank you.
Thank you.
A motion? Moved there, second by Joe. All in favor? Done, okay. Our next application for consent, B 1823. It's 273, 275 Albert Street, the city of Belleville. The owner is Frank James Matthews. And staff?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The property is located on the east side of Albert Street, north of Victoria Avenue, and south of Pine Street. This consent application requests to sever the property along the common wall of the existing semi-detached dwelling units. Each lot would have at least 9.9 meters of frontage and at least 400.5 square meters of lot area. The official plan designation is residential land use, and at this time, staff have corresponded with one member of the public who had questions about the application. Back to you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Is the Matthews here? Did you want to come up in case we have some questions? Did you want to come up in case we have questions? Yeah, okay. So basically, this is a semi-detached that you're just basically dividing in half so you can be dispose of them separately or do whatever, separate ownership, correct?
That's correct.
And they're gonna have separate services, and they already have separate services, and,
They do.
okay,
Yeah.
that's right, okay? Question? Anybody else in the audience wishes to comment on 273, 275 Albert Street? We'll take that as a no, therefore a motion by Joe, seconded by Robert. All in favor? Thank you. Moving right along here. Okay, our next application is an application for consent, B 1923, 1497 Harmony Road, and it's part of Lot 22, Concession 5, and the owner is Daniel and Carrie Collinson, I guess. Staff?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The property is located on the north side of Harmony Road, midway between Shaw Road to the west and Bronk Road to the east. The consent application requests to sever one residential dwelling that is surplus to the remaining agricultural lands. It would have approximately 58.5 meters of frontage on Harmony Road and 0.53 hectares of lot area. The official plan designation is agricultural land use and environmental protection. As a result, one of the conditions of approval would be that the property be rezoned to ensure that no new dwellings could be permitted on the vacant farm portion to be severed. At this time, staff have not received any correspondence from the public regarding the application.
Okay, thank you. Daniel or Carrie, are you present? So do you have any additional comments? No? Any questions for? No? So basically, you have this huge piece of property and you're severing the house off it and you got a separate one, and of course, you understand that nothing can be built on that and it's gotta be rezoned, so you understand all that. Okay? Anybody else wish to comment on 1497 Harmony Road? Take that as a no. Therefore, a motion by Joe, second by Robert. All in favor? Done. Okay, moving right along. Thank you. Okay, our next item is an application for consent B 1623, B 1723. It's 152, 150 Dufferin Avenue in the city of Belleville, and the owners are Stephen and Jillian McCurdy and Andrew Bandler and Andrea Sorchichi, whatever, pardon my pronunciation of that. But anyway, we did have, this is an application that's coming back to us. We did have a public meeting. The public had input last time on this. So today, there's some new information, so I'll ask staff to update us on what's going on first.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As you'll recall from last time, the proposal was to sever a portion of the southern lot to be added on to the northern lot, and then the northern lot would be severed to create a new development parcel. Ultimately, putting portions of these two properties together would provide enough frontage to create an infill lot. There were some concerns last time about a city storm sewer that runs through the properties, and staff's desire and well, recommendation that the committee acquire an easement over that existing pipe to enable the city to repair it in future. There was some additional input being sought from the property section last time around. That input has been received, and essentially staff is continuing to recommend that an easement be acquired over both properties that are subject to these applications. So it's been brought back for further consideration.
Thank you. Is the easement across all three properties at the end, or just the two? By that,
Currently, there is no easement, but the pipe does run diagonally across both of the existing properties, and would run also across the front portion of the proposed lot.
so there'd be 3 easements required? Because we have the one lot and then the new one that's in the middle, and then it's on the corner of the other one, is it not?
Yeah, just the corner of it would catch the front of the other one. So yeah, ultimately there would be a small portion of easement on the northern retained
Yeah.
lands, and then across the severed lands, and then also
So
across
basically 3. That third, the north one is not on the city property then?
You can just see that triangle at the southeast corner of the northern one. That would be impacting.
Okay, yeah, just on the corner, okay. Okay. Now, I know, as I mentioned, we did have the public meeting, but I will ask if Mr. McCurdy has any other comments to, or his representative to come forward, please.
Hello, I'm Jennifer Matthews from Watson Land Surveyors. We act for Mr. McCurdy and also Mr. Bandler as well. So what we would like to ask on behalf of Mr. Bandler, who is the owner of 150, his portion is the 3.15 meter lot addition. Mr. Bandler's position has not changed. He is not supportive of the easement on his retained parcel. He is okay with it on the severed parcel, but not on the retained. So he has asked us to request that the committee remove it on the retained and ask for it only on the severed. So there, you're right, in your conversation before, there would be a total of 3 properties that would require easements as part of this application. And what we would like to ask is if it could be over 152 and the infill lot, but not on number 150. If that's something that the committee...
So 150 is the bottom one on that?
The bottom one, yes.
That's the bigger lot?
Yes, correct. So we would like to request that it be removed off of that section.
Is there a reasoning behind that?
He is not supportive of having it on his property on title. So if the committee sticks to it and wants to have it on his retained, we would like to then ask for a deferral, and quite likely the applications will not move forward.
And the pipe is already there, right?
It is, correct.
So by not having the easement, maybe Greg or somebody can answer this question, what happens if there's an issue with that pipe?
That is an interesting question, and ultimately, the easement, I guess, would provide the city with legal authority to go and fix the pipe if there was a problem with it. So at the moment, if there's a problem, the city would instead need to seek permission, and there could be delays which could result in property damage and various other implications by virtue of not having an easement over it to allow that to happen in a timely manner with under defined parameters, I guess.
If he didn't have the easement and there's an issue with that pipe, it's his problem? That's,
Through the chair, I don't think I'm qualified to answer exactly whose problem it would be, but it would be a problem.
yeah, it would be a problem, but whose it is, because like it's across his property, and
Correct.
like, does he own that pipe? Doesn't he own the pipe? Does the
I
city
think
own
I'll
the pipe?
side with Greg and say I'm not
Is
qualified.
what creates some kind of an issue there, so,
So as part of this application, Mr. McCurdy, who is the owner of 152, is willing to agree to the easement being on 152 and the infill lot. So that would cover 2 of sort of the 4 properties in play here for this easement. So it would be on 2, and then there would only be 2 left that the pipe crosses, that there is no current easement.
okay, that's what they would like to happen.
They would like to happen,
Okay.
yes, that's correct.
All right.
So if that's something that the committee is not willing to do, then we would like to request a deferral.
Okay,
Um,
so- okay,
Yep, and I'm just gonna invite Mr. McCurdy up to see if he has
Okay,
anything
sure.
additional to
Yeah.
add, if that's okay.
Hi, my name is Steve McCurdy. I'm the owner of 152 Dufferin. First of all, I want to thank Greg for all the hard work he's put into this. There's been a lot of emails going back and forth to try and solve this complicated problem. Probably unique as well. So thanks for all of that. I guess ultimately, you know, the city has to recommend the easement across all the property. It protects them from future issues related to somebody coming back saying, why didn't you request it when you had the opportunity? However, I think the committee, in looking at it, should look at it and say, well, we can get some of it. There's an opportunity here for us to do it now without any sort of heavy-handedness in the future of trying to acquire an easement over a portion of the property. So our feeling about it is to say, let's take what we can now, and then we can start to look at what we need to do in the future. I mean, it's been there since I think the city referred to maybe in the 30s or 40s. And so it's been there quite a while, and it hasn't had any problems, but who knows in the future? At least you have a portion of it that you now have a certain level of control over. So
Okay.
that's sort of our perspective on it.
does the owner of the property that doesn't want the easement understand and if there's anything to understand, I guess, what happens if he does or he doesn't do this? Does he understand the impact that it may cause later?
I can't comment on whether Mr. Bandler knows that, but he's an intelligent man.
Yeah. That's my concern, that like, is that what is the issue if he doesn't, we don't have the easement on that property as far from the city and from his point of view?
Well, I mean, ultimately, if we defer and then let the application lapse, then we're back to square one. And so ultimately, I think it's going to come back to the city, because we're now in a situation where they have a pipe that goes through land they don't own. And if something does happen to that pipe, you're right, who pays for that?
Well,
repair?
that's my concern,
But
like,
it would make sense to me that the city has liability there, and that it is probably them that has to fix it.
but we don't know for
We
sure.
don't know that, but
Okay. Joe,
I was gonna say to you, Mr. Chair, we're talking almost 100-year-old pipe.
Well, yeah, probably.
So like, I don't think it's a matter of if, it's a matter of when.
Yeah.
Well, I did recommend or suggest to the city that this might be an opportunity to run a new pipe between the properties that are being proposed, and that it would skirt around having to go through 3 properties and would go pretty much between the properties that are in question right now at 150 and 152.
Up the
but
property line rather than
down the
on
property
diagonal.
line instead of across 3 separate properties. So, I mean, there is an opportunity for that. There is obviously expense related to that. How that lays out, I have no idea.
So if this application was deferred, and you indicate that if it was deferred, you were gonna withdraw the application, but if it was deferred, would that be something that you would be willing to work on or see if you can solve these issues? If it was deferred?
There is some complicating factors with regard to the timing of the severance because of the nature of what's available. The lot addition technically has a deadline as to when we have it to be done. And so it can't be deferred for a long period of time. Another complicating factor in this situation, but it would seem to me that that is still an option, that even if we do go ahead today with the easement over the severed pieces, then there's still an opportunity to change that in the future. So it would make sense in my mind to go ahead, agree to the severance based on not having the easement over the retained property, with the idea of, I'm certainly open to consider looking at, and I'm sure Mr. Bandler would as well, at an alternative plan that wouldn't create the easement across his property, or it would only be on a small portion of his property along his property line.
You indicated that there's a deadline on when the agreement is supposed to be completed, whatever. Is that possibility that that can be extended to deal with, sort this issue out by deferring it for a month or 2 months, whatever?
Obviously, I have more vested interest in this than Mr. Bandler, but I would. I'm not sure that Mr. Bandler would.
Conundrum. But the recommendation that we have was that the easement be off over all 3 properties.
Which makes sense. I mean, I think the city needs to protect themselves for future issues, but it doesn't necessarily mean that's the most logical.
When is the deadline for this agreement to be completed by, is it
At
next
this point,
week,
it's
or
the
is
end
it
of November.
end of November? So if it was deferred for a month or till our next meeting, which is the middle of November, could some of these issues be dealt with?
What issues?
Well, the
Because-
fact that this pipe that may go across there, or extending the date for completion, Andrew?
Through to the chair, I would keep in mind that there's also a 20-day appeal period after the decision's made. So only after that 20 days can a severance be finalized.
Yeah. Okay. And the appeal is only by the owners, correct?
That would be correct, but usually we still have that for also other
Yeah.
interested
Okay.
parties.
Is there any, thank you. Is there anybody else that wishes to make a brief comment on Dufferin Avenue?
Keith Watson from Watson Land Surveyors. So what I'd sort of look at this is, if you can get the easement in front of the lot that's being created, it'd be similar to when we come and ask for a severance and you get a road widening, and the road widening's only gonna be in front of the severed lot and not on the retained. In this case, it's gonna be an easement on the lot created and not on the retained. And the easement that the city can get over that pipe in the future is agreement that the city would have to make with the landowner that's there now. and it's a pipe that's been there for many years, so they probably have a prescriptive easement over it at this point anyway, so. But it's something that the city has to formalize. It's more of a city problem when it gets onto his,
Yeah.
that problem. That's just a way of looking at it, that's all.
Yeah, it may rear its ugly head later on.
Good, yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing. Okay.
But the
Any-
fact that the pipe is there is a, you know, legally, it's a
Yeah,
prescriptive.
and it's been there for almost 100
prescriptive
years, like,
easement. Yeah, it's just something that the city would need to formalize. That's all.
hey. Anybody else wish to make a brief comment? Okay, any other questions, comments, concerns? Well, and if, the other thing is we can do it a number of ways. We can defer it, or we can do the 2 easements, or we can do 3 easements. So that's basically where we're at. Yeah. So what's your thoughts on? So you're gonna deferred, and you second that, okay? All in favor of that? Okay, thank you. So what happened here was it got deferred, so you'll have to make a decision as to where you go from here. And again, if you have a deadline of the end of November, it may be something that if you need to bring it back next month on November 16th, I guess is our next meeting, that we can deal with that if we have to. Okay, alrighty, that deals with that, thank you. Okay, our next order of business is the confirmation of the minutes of September 14th. Moved, seconded, all in favor? Done. Any other business? The only other business that I may have is, do we have any further information on adding a new committee member? Is that, any decision been made on that?
I have followed up with corporate services on that, and I understand that they were looking to appoint a new member, but they did not have any members in the queue to appoint. So they were going to reach out, I think, to determine if there would be an advertising process or how that would happen.
Okay,
I have not heard back on that, so
Okay, so
I can check in.
get an update next month on that. Okay, and any correspondence by, nothing? Okay, our next meeting is November 16th, and if nothing else, an adjournment. Joe? Thank you. Alrighty, that ends our meeting. Thank you very much.